The first snowfall of December always brought a special kind of silence to Millbrook. Jake Matthews pulled his worn work jacket tighter as he walked through the grocery store parking lot, his breath forming small clouds in the crisp air. The familiar weight of worry sat heavy on his shoulders. Christmas was 3 weeks away, and his bank account seemed to shrink with each passing day. He'd been a mechanic for 15 years, working out of his small garage on the edge of town. Business had been slow lately. People were holding on to their money, fixing only what absolutely needed fixing. Jake understood that feeling all too well. As a single father to 8-year-old Emma, every dollar had to stretch as far as possible. The sound of a car engine struggling cut through the winter air. Jake paused, his trained ear immediately recognizing the telltale signs of a battery giving up the ghost. He followed the sound toward the far end of the parking lot, where a beautiful forest green Ford Mustang sat silent, its hood already popped open. A woman stood beside the car, elegant even in her obvious frustration. She wore a long, cream-colored coat that probably cost more than Jake made in a month, and her auburn hair fell in perfect waves despite the snowflakes settling on her shoulders. She was talking quietly into her phone, her voice carrying a note of controlled panic. "No, I understand you're busy, but I really need someone to come out here," she was saying. "It's Christmas season. Yes, I know that makes it more difficult." Jake approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Excuse me, ma'am. I couldn't help but notice you're having some trouble." She looked up, her green eyes meeting his. For a moment, something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe even relief. "Oh yes, my car just died. I was shopping, and when I came back out, it wouldn't start at all. Mind if I take a look?" "I'm a mechanic," Jake said, already pulling a pair of work gloves from his pocket. "Jake Matthews. I own Matthews Auto Repair here in town." "That's very kind of you." "I'm Sarah," she replied, extending a manicured hand that felt surprisingly warm despite the cold. "I was supposed to meet someone important in an hour, but it looks like that's not happening." Jake moved to the front of the Mustang, immediately spotting the problem. "Well, Sarah, the good news is it's probably just your battery. The terminals are corroded pretty badly, and with this cold weather, she just gave up." He gestured to the engine bay. "The bad news is you'll need a new battery, and most auto parts stores are probably swamped today." Sarah's face fell slightly. "Of course they are. I should have expected this." She paused, seeming to weigh her options. "Is there any way you could help me get a battery? I'd pay you for your time, naturally." Jake studied her face, noting the genuine worry there. Something about her seemed different from the usual wealthy customers who occasionally ended up at his garage. There was no condescension, no impatience directed at him personally. Just someone who needed help. "Tell you what," he said, making a decision that surprised even him. "I've got a battery back at my shop that should work. It's only about 10 minutes from here. I could run and get it, come back and get you running." "You do that? For a stranger?" Jake shrugged, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "It's almost Christmas. Besides, nobody should be stuck in a parking lot in a snowstorm." As if summoned by his words, the snow began falling more heavily, the flakes growing fat and lazy as they drifted down from the gray sky. 30 minutes later, Jake returned with his toolkit and a battery. Sarah had waited by her car, occasionally pacing to keep warm. She'd bought 2 cups of coffee from the store and offered him one gratefully. "You didn't have to wait out here," Jake said as he began removing the old battery. "Could have sat in the store where it's warm." "I wanted to make sure you could find me when you came back," Sarah replied. "Besides, I don't mind the snow. There's something peaceful about it." Jake glanced up at her, noting the way she watched his hands work with genuine interest rather than impatience. "Most people I know can't wait for winter to be over." "I suppose I'm not most people," she said quietly, then seemed to catch herself. I mean, I've always liked winter. The quiet, the way everything looks clean and new under snow. As Jake worked, they talked easily. Sarah asked thoughtful questions about the repair, about his business, about Millbrook. She had a way of listening that made Jake feel like his answers actually mattered. It had been a long time since someone had shown that kind of genuine interest in his work, in his life. "There we go," Jake said finally, wiping his hands on a rag as the Mustang's engine purred to life. "She should run fine now, though I'd recommend getting those terminals cleaned professionally soon." Sarah's relief was evident. "Jake, I can't thank you enough. What do I owe you?" Jake considered. The battery had cost him $40, and he'd spent an hour of his time. Normally, he'd charge maybe $80 total. How about $50? That covers the battery and a little for the house call. Sarah reached for her purse, then paused. "Jake, can I ask you something personal?" "Shoot, do you have family here in Millbrook?" Something in her tone made Jake look at her more carefully. "Just me and my daughter, Emma. She's 8. Why do you ask?" Sarah was quiet for a moment, seeming to struggle with something internal. "What would you say if someone wanted to do something nice for you and Emma? Something significant?" Jake's guard went up slightly. "I'd say that's awful generous, but I'm not looking for charity. Emma and we get by just fine." "It wouldn't be charity," Sarah said softly. "It would be gratitude." Before Jake could respond, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and something shifted in her expression. "Jake, I need to tell you something. I haven't been entirely honest about who I am." Jake's stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" Sarah took a breath, her words coming slowly. "My full name is Sarah Chin Williams. I own Williams Industries." The name hit Jake like a physical blow. Williams Industries, the tech company that employed half the state, with headquarters just 2 hours away in the city. The company worth billions, run by a woman so private that most people had never seen her photo. Jake started, then stopped processing. "You're that Sarah Williams." "I am." She watched his face carefully. "I was in Millbrook today visiting our new distribution center site. Very quietly, very privately. People don't usually. She trailed off, then started again. "When people know who I am, everything changes. They act differently. They want things." Jake stared at her, understanding flooding through him. The expensive coat, the way she carried herself, the careful way she'd asked about his family. "And I just charged you $50 to fix your car." A genuine laugh escaped Sarah. "Yes. Do you know how refreshing that was? When's the last time someone helped me because it was the right thing to do, not because they knew I could write them a check?" Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. "Ma'am, I mean Ms. Williams, if I'd known." "You'd have done exactly what you did," Sarah interrupted gently. "That's why I want to help you, Jake. Not because you helped me knowing who I was, but because you helped me when I was just a stranger with car trouble." The snow continued to fall around them, creating a soft, white cocoon that seemed to hold the moment suspended. Jake thought about Emma, about the Christmas presents he couldn't afford, about the stack of bills on his kitchen table. "What kind of help?" he asked quietly. Sarah smiled, and for the first time, it reached all the way to her eyes. "The distribution center I'm building? It's going to need an on-site automotive maintenance facility, fleet vehicles, employee car service, equipment maintenance. I need someone to run it. Someone honest, skilled, and kind." Jake's heart began to race. "Ms. Williams." "Sarah," she corrected. "And before you say anything, this isn't about today. Well, not entirely. I've been looking for the right person for months. Someone embedded in the community. Someone with a reputation for integrity. I had a whole list of mechanics to interview, and Jake Matthews was at the top of it." I was